Hello, everyone. Welcome to the World Series of Board Gaming's coverage of the Patchwork Ring Final. My name is Chris George, and I am joined here by esteemed guest, Patchwork Shark, Ruel Gaviola. Ruel, thanks for coming on and commenting this game with me.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here, Chris. Thank you for having me. Now, as far as being a shark, I don't know. I'm a shark within my family, but when I go out in the real world, I'm like sort of more of a guppy, I would say.
No, you're the expert here because I am particularly horrible at Patchwork, so we need one esteemed expert to do the commentary. So whether you like it or not, that's the role that I've thrust you in.
Nice. And I'm happy to be thrusted into that role, Chris. I am going to be your shark, my friend.
Perfect. We are here. We're going to be covering the Patchwork Ring Final. This was held at WSBG 2023, and I almost said 2024, which if you haven't gotten your tickets yet for it, well, you might as well get them right now. You could win your share of $100,000 in cash and prizes just for playing board games. The World Series of Board Gaming is back and bigger than ever. High-level play, friendly competition, national championships, there's no other event of its kind. Are you the next big name in board gaming? Get your tickets now at WSBGVegas.com and use the code IMN to save yourself up to $50. What are you waiting for? It's time to get in the game. That's right. Make sure you get your tickets. Get your tickets now. And Ruel, you attended WSBG 2023. You played in a lot of the Outer Ring events. Is that correct?
That is correct. I had such a great time, Chris. It was my first time going to the WSBG, and it far exceeded my expectations. It was so great. The competition was fierce yet friendly. I really had a great time learning that I need to practice my gaming because the folks at the World Series of Board Games, folks, again, they're the nicest people in the world, but boy, they are at the top of their game, and I learned a lot of things, which was great.
Amazing. That's so cool. I know you participated mostly. You didn't participate in any of the main sort of tournament events. You just did the we have smaller tournaments, Outer Ring events, and those are the ones you participated in, right?
That's right. I did Cascadia, Lost Cities, and fun fact, the Azul game that I was in, the Outer Ring, the guy that was at our table, he actually went on to win the tournament. So it was great.
No
great
way.
Experience. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Awesome. Scott Leader would have been
really nice guy.
And folks can catch that out. Some of the games were streamed live on the Dice Tower Network, and you can check out past WSBG events and future WSBG events. But I don't just want to talk about that. Before we jump into this game, I do want to, if you want to see Ruel in particular comment on another game, you can check out the coverage of the Red Cathedral. That was the one that you did at the event, correct?
Yeah, Paula Devon and I had a great time calling that event. Again, the best players, I think, in the world playing that game. They played it so awesomely, and I picked up a couple of hints. So I feel like I'm a little better now at Red Cathedral after just watching that final table.
Nice. I'm excited to get better at Patchwork from watching this final table, and I hope everybody else who's tuning in is ready to analyze this intense game. This was an intense game because there were more rounds of this game than there were pretty much in any of the tournaments, just by the virtue of it being a two-player game. So you had to work your way through two rounds, but we have two people. Before we get into that, Ruel, you're also, there's some exciting announcements that have happened that I want to shout you out before we get into. You've taken the step from commentary and you've moved across that threshold into publishing.
Yes, thanks, Chris. It's a very exciting yet a little nerve-wracking as well. I am on the other side of the business now. I am part of a group of investors in the new company Play to Z, headed by Zev Schlesinger, former Z-Man Games and WizKids guy, and we are so excited. We've got a game coming up called Ascending Empires, the Zenith Edition, coming to Kickstarter real soon. So please check that out, friends.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm excited to check it out. I'm excited. It seems like a really all-star team behind the scenes working on that sort of stuff, especially our very own Patchwork Shark.
I need a little shark graphic here. So.
Exactly. You're bringing the strategy. You're the strategic mind,
yes.
Bringing it to the table, which I know our two finalists or two competitors that we're about to introduce probably can't compete with, but they're going to try in this video. Shall we turn to the table and check this out, Ruel?
Let's jump right into it.
Do you need more time to study?
I'm ready to bid.
Okay. First,
how much time will I have between
60 seconds between bids.
Okay. And then I'll take my 60 seconds.
Okay.
So we're starting off with something that is a little bit unique to WSBG as well. The players right now, we have in seat 1, Bryant Brownell, and in seat 2, Jeremy Morse. But these seats aren't representative of first and second player just yet. They actually have a chance to bid on which position they want to be in, because at high level Patchwork you can look at the board and you can see that one position is a little bit more advantageous to the others, and these two, Bryant Brownell and Jeremy Morse, are very good at this game. They both know the sort of inherent value of what's going to be important, and if it's going to be important to take that first move or to let the other player set you up. And so we see
0 to act as the first player.
We see Bryant Brownell now starting the bid on first player. This is what they're going to be bidding on.
Player card that I should pass.
When we start the game. Yeah.
And asking about that player card if he needs to pass it. That's something that they keep track of.
I was hoping we would each pick something different.
Gene, you want to play? You can get in there. I'll take it.
Asking the judge if he wants to be third player. We can see both of them are now interested in becoming the first player. So now the question is, how high are they going to bid this up? It makes sense that they're both going for the first player position, or at least that they're both going for the same position, because they both recognize the game. So if one player recognizes that a certain position is advantageous, guaranteed the opposing player is going to recognize it as well. And this is kind of cool. This is new to me as a way to start the game. Ruel, have you ever played with this sort of variant before?
I haven't, and this fascinates me because this shows how high level of a game that we're looking at today. Because for players to be able to see exactly what they want to do this early is amazing. And to bid on player position, I would like to try this out sometime, actually. I think it'd be really interesting to do in a home game, because there are times when you can look at a board like this and see, hey, I've got an advantage as far as like buttons coming up and pieces that I think will fit perfectly on my board. Again, we're building quilts here, folks, trying to build the perfect quilt. And those buttons, they're going to generate income for you as the game goes on. And those are really important in Patchwork.
Yeah, so they're still on the bidding right now. I believe it's over to Jeremy. Bryant is up to 2 bidding for first player. He specified it again, and Jeremy's like, I think we know we're both going for first player. We'd like to both be first player here. And so now they have 60 seconds in between each bid to put a little bit of a time pressure on it as well. I know some of the Patchwork games were running a bit long and felt that they were drawn out, and so that sort of time crunch was implemented for this final to make sure that it didn't last for 4 or 5 hours, and that you can't just sit there and math it out, but you have to really go with your instincts and your board gaming skills.
Is it right if I send to the board?
You see,
You're going to wait for me to answer for you,
Just move.
Well, I'll move it on. I was asking. Okay. You want me to move it back?
Only if you want it there.
I wanted here, so I'll move it back.
we see some mind games
I was
already
going to say a
starting.
little gamesmanship early on here, Chris. I like it.
So I'm not sure who we're at right now. What do you think the bidding's going to get up to, Ruel? Do you want first player in this position?
And this is what's so fascinating about this. Like, they both recognize first player is important right now, but how much are they willing to give up? And that's where the tension comes in. I don't know if I was in the position. I sort of like sometimes I like to follow the lead of the first player, so I might be willing to give up in order to get. They're bidding points. Is that correct, Chris?
They're bidding points. Yeah.
Yeah. Because we all know, if you played Patchwork, folks, you know it's really easy to get a negative score. Those points are crucial.
I'll go 6.
Okay.
Yeah. I just heard Bryant is now bidding 6. We're up to 6 now. 6 points just to be first player. Giving 6 points away. Like that's already huge, and it could even go higher.
Yeah. And anyone that's played Patchwork, you all know negative scores are very common in this game. Those 6 points could be the difference.
Yeah.
But Jeremy looks he looks intent on getting that first player. I think Jeremy might end up with the first player here, Chris.
Your money's on Jeremy?
My money's on Jeremy. I think he's really considering he's going to go all out for this.
Or at least money on Jeremy getting first player.
Getting first place,
not as your current prediction.
Right.
Yeah, Jeremy considering 20 seconds left on the clock for him to decide if Bryant gets first player for 6 points. And we see them. I feel like this 60-second timer is a bit of an act. Jeremy goes to 7. Not really. I'm sure that both players know that they would be comfortable going in the 7 range right now since it's hit 7, but they're taking that 60 seconds to evaluate and to try to pre-plan their moves. Patchwork is all about this aspect of visualization, right? Figuring out where that token's going to go, what the counter move will be. I could feasibly see the three choices that the first player would have would be that bracket for 1 button and 5 time, that sort of long piece for 3 buttons and 3 time, and then that little T piece for 2 buttons and 2 time. And so I could feasibly see the first player move taking that long piece for the 3 time, just because of the awkward position it puts the second player in. They're locked out of that sort of middle piece in their next selection, the big blocky one that's 7 buttons and 4 times, since they only start with 5 buttons, and so maybe that's what they're envisioning, and they're seeing that initial block, and they're deciding on it. I think we're at either 10 or I think we're at 10 from Bryant.
That's what I heard. I thought I heard 10 as well.
Yeah.
And just to follow up on what you're saying, Chris, I think that's exactly the perfect thing to look at is when you're picking these pieces, and not just where it's going to go on your board, but what is it going to force your opponent to do. You're taking away pieces from your opponent at the same time, which makes this is why this game is so great, because it's not, I wouldn't say direct interaction, but there's a very interactive game because you are taking pieces literally off the board from your opponent.
Yeah. Over to Jeremy still. I think it's 11 to take first player.
Wow.
I can't even
fathom giving up that many points. That is, wow, that's a lot of points.
I would have bowed out at 6.
Yeah.
10 left.
10.
10 seconds left. Well, will Jeremy pull the trigger?
Wow.
Or is he going to bow out now?
I mean, 10 is a lot. Once you get in double-digit figures, that's a lot of points, folks.
Or maybe that was just the 10 bid from Bryant. Maybe that was his the 10 seconds, and Bryant went to that 10 level.
Got it. That is a ton of points in this game.
Yeah.
Jeremy, he's agonizing now. I thought for sure he's going to get it, but now it looks like he might be backing off.
It is 11. It is now to Bryant.
11. No, he just had the 11 bid. A soft 11 confirmed by the judge. Over to Bryant. Will Bryant go to 12? Honestly, this might be the most exciting part of the game. I want every game of Patchwork to start like this, and I think I just want to watch the bidding and then say, okay, and then know the final score.
Right. It's just incredibly, like, how do you make up 12 points in the game like this? Oh, my gosh. Insane.
Yeah, it's past the 7x7 bonus.
Right. So again, let's talk about that. I think that 7x7 now is crucial. Like, it's almost a must if you're giving up that many points.
Yeah.
20 seconds left.
Okay,
20 seconds to decide. Pass.
Bryant passed.
Doesn't take the 20 seconds. Passes. First player goes to Jeremy.
So now I have to reset 11 buttons to the side.
The final thing is
11.
11. Bryant asking for 11 buttons to be set onto the side just so he can visualize it.
Oh, my
and so that we all remember.
Okay.
And so that Jeremy remembers the cost that it took.
So it is imperative on Jeremy's part to get that 7x7 now. He's got to make up those points.
Yeah.
I will go ahead and distribute the buttons when you guys agree that the count is appropriate.
Sure.
Okay.
I believe the voice of the judge we're hearing, it sounds like Eugene Lee. Eugene Lee is one of the main judges at WSBG. And if I screw that up, well, I'll be fixing that in post. But it sounds like Eugene. Eugene's a great game player.
When I'm going to buy a piece, what are the order operations to be involved?
Move the pawn. Right. Okay. Pay the money.
Okay.
Right. And then place the piece. That makes
And
sense.
then move the spaces.
And then move the spaces, and then get the income.
All right.
And then get the
Income.
Player.
Oh,
Income.
the
I always
income.
forget
Yeah,
the
sure,
income,
sure,
and that's
sure.
how I lose.
Right.
Okay.
Players just asking about
verifying
the order of
operations
operations.
here.
Yeah.
All right, there it is.
And immediately I was wrong. They going for that big solid piece. It only costs one button. It costs one button, but it is a big chunky piece. It costs Jeremy 5 time, which if Bryant wanted, he could spend all of his 5 buttons making up that same 5 time with the next 2 pieces.
Don't take your turn, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
And reminding Eugene reminding Brian not to take his turn because in WSBG there's a little card that you can pass back and forth. You have to fully signify that's the end of your turn, especially something like Patchwork 2 where if you pull a piece off and like you need to slot it in and it doesn't slot in the same way, you may want to rewind your turn to...
I don't know if I've ever seen anyone put it anywhere else. Put it over one?
I've seen instances of this where you've got a piece you're picking up. But
I guess if you're about to go for that.
if one was, yes, or if you were about to go to 4-2 or something like that.
Okay.
Okay. You're right. You're right.
But I love this though. Like this is how I like to play my games, and you can see this at the upper echelon of Patchwork. The top 2 players in the world, they're just talking to each other about games theory. It's like, yeah, I've always seen that piece go there, but I've seen it over one more, and just like talking about the game and talking about the differences. I think that sort of lovely conversation is great, and you see it a lot at the final tables of WSBG. Again, sort of speaking to that sort of friendly but fierce competition.
That's right.
That's true. I would be really
That's one thing I definitely appreciate about the WSBG. Like I said, this is the final table. You don't see this at like a chess tournament. They're not going to be talking about game theory at a chess tournament.
Yeah.
But here they are.
That's true.
Pass.
Okay, so he does take the one piece. That goes to 5.
Wow. And Bryant immediately passes.
Wow.
Yeah, immediately passes to take that extra button income.
I love it.
That's a really good play.
Yeah.
It's a really good play at this point because those other 3, they're sort of okay evaluation of piece, but you get 4 spaces in both of those pieces, and it'll cost you at least 2 buttons or 3 buttons in the time. Bryant also, I think, wanting to fight for that larger spacing, right? That larger swath of patch to be covered to compensate for that first piece picked up by Jeremy. And also wanting to put Jeremy in a position where he can't get that nice 7 button piece with 4 time and slot it in to make a cube. Bryant now sitting at 11 buttons.
Wow.
And we see it passed by Jeremy picking up those 2 pieces again, putting the pressure on Bryant to either take that big old piece that costs 7 or to let him have it. Really, that's the move that he's just put forward.
I remember my early days of playing Patchwork. I always thought to myself, why the heck would I ever pass in this game? But it is a crucial part, a very important part of the strategy here.
Yeah, and it really puts the pressure on the other player, right? It's all about, this game is entirely about how much pressure can you put on the other player and how much can you push them into doing the thing that you want them to do.
Exactly.
This is already like we've had 3 moves in this game, but like it's electrifying. It's electrifying at like the decisions being made because it's almost like I can see both of their brains like saying, okay, you do this, I do this, you do this, I do this, and we see those synapses firing back and forth between both of them. It's very exciting. I think Bryant's gotta take this 7 cost piece.
Yeah,
it'll provide him 2 buttons in income, and he'll be just before the additional income. Before his income generation, which I think is pretty huge, gives him another chance to get another button piece and start making that income back.
That's right.
Still making the decision. You can see the little hand gestures from Bryant saying, okay, if I go there, what does that set up my opponent to do? And will it set me up for my second move?
That's right.
How many moves do you think ahead in this game, Ruel? For me, it's -1.
I usually think at least a couple of moves ahead, but nowhere near the level of our competitors here today. Again, this is the highest level, and my brain starts to hurt, Chris, after a few minutes of this. So I need, I try to focus on just what's in front of me at the time of my move.
Mm-hmm. Again, both of these players having taken out serious competition. Bryant having this being Bryant's third final table in WSBG history. Bryant also was at the final table of Gaia Project in both 2022 and 2023. Unfortunately for Bryant, both Gaia Project and Patchwork are not going to be in the lineup for WSBG 2024.
Oh,
just as it so happens, there's always a rotation of certain games every year. But Bryant maybe feeling the pressure to try to grab his first ring. Jeremy Morris, this is Jeremy's first final table in WSBG, I think, and his first appearance at the World Series of Board Gaming as well. I don't believe he was there in 2022.
Amazing. Well, Brian's already made a couple of final tables over the last 2 years. I can see him going far next year as well, Chris, because these players at this level, they can take the skills that they have at one game and easily apply them to another game, their analytic skills and so forth. Okay, looks like Bryant's going to make a decision here.
I'm going to act now and purchase the 7-4.
Purchasing the 7.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Good call.
Taking that, moving his piece just right in front of the income trap, putting it down below in the corner of his quilt. It's funny. You can place anywhere you want to start, and for all sort of purposes, any of the corners would be the same, right?
Yeah.
Yet both players have placed in their bottom left from building out, shaping that quilt, right? Reading left to right. Our minds are sort of programmed to organize things in a way that makes sense for us. And both players placing in that bottom left corner for their perspective is kind of an interesting thing. I think I placed top. I placed top left.
Oh, interesting. I was going to ask. I placed bottom, just like the champs here do, the R2 finalists. So I do have that in common with them.
That's tip number one. Then the difference between the shark and the plebeian, the peasant. Yeah, I think that's such a necessary play.
Yeah.
By Bryant, but it puts an interesting question for Jeremy. Jeremy's sitting at 7 buttons, and ahead of him there's a button that has 1. It's kind of obscured by Jeremy's player square there, but it has costs 4 buttons and 2 time, and it has 1 button income on it. And then the next 2 are small little pieces that are good for the sort of later game when you're trying to fill in sections. The one costing 1 button, again that cheap button. Corner piece for 3 time, and then the other one taking up 3 spaces, costing 2 buttons and 2 time. The 2 buttons 2 time feels inefficient, very inefficient at this point, especially when both players passed up the opportunity for 2 button 2 time, the little T that covers 4 squares instead of 3 squares. It's just objectively a worse piece, one that you'd want to use to slot in a very specific way.
That's right.
Now that I'm saying that, we can probably assume that Jeremy will take that.
Exactly.
But from my standpoint, I feel like we're going to see him maybe take the 4 button 2 time.
Yeah.
4-2.
Yeah, there he goes. He pulls on it. Hey, I got that one right. It makes sense because he's also not putting. He's making sure he gets one of the corner pieces, and I think. The corner piece that costs 3 button and 1 time, that's after that H piece. I feel like that's more of a preferred piece because it costs you less time, right? It may cost you more resources, but time is also such an important resource in this game.
So collect 2 more. Yes, please. Pass and 2 more for income. 2 income.
Hey.
Is that correct?
That's correct. Your total
So
is
he's
now
getting
7.
his income. Okay.
Pass the card.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And that's what makes this game, again, so great, is that balance. You basically have 2 resources you're balancing, right?
Yeah.
Your time and your buttons. and trying to maintain that balance where you don't get too far ahead, because if you get way ahead of there, your opponent's got a lot of opportunities to grab some of those quilt pieces.
Yeah, and we see Jeremy actually ended before Bryant because it only took him 2 time, and but then he opted for another pass. He opted to take and move another 2 spaces, just crossing that button threshold, netting him 4, basically paying for the piece that he just played and paid for.
Right.
That feels like a nice move. You can see these players don't want to leave themselves exposed. Right, you don't want to have an instance where your opponent has a huge stack of buttons and has so much flexibility in what they can purchase, and you are limited. If that happens, your opponent can more thoroughly predict what you are going to do. And if they can predict what you're going to be doing, then they can plan even more accordingly, and they can plan for those awkward shapes that sometimes you want to deny your opponent if it fits in perfectly into their quilt.
Right.
And so we're over to Bryant, who has 4 buttons, can purchase all 3 pieces in front of him. It cost 1, 2, 2 in order, and they cost 3, 2, 3 for time in order. So all fairly sort of comparable in terms of the cost. But that big H, maybe, it might be awkward to place in, but it's a nice piece if you can get it. Only 2 buttons and only 3 time. It feels like a really nice cost evaluation and a really good towards contributing towards that 7x7 if you could fit it in. And by all accounts, we can hear a little bit of chatter in the background there. I think from the acquire final happening. That was a rousing event. This happened on the last day of WSBG as well. That would have been Wednesday before the finals. This is both of these players' last chance to get their shot at competing in the semifinals and earning their way towards the money table to win $25,000 just playing board games.
The big money, gotta love it. I really like this move by Jeremy. He's left a really tough decision for Bryant, because Bryant could pass here, collect some income, but then that leaves Jeremy with that H piece you're talking about. I mean, Jeremy's got he can slot that in easily onto his board and really take up a lot of space there. So
yeah, he has that nice nubbin sort of poking out there.
I love the official terminology here, folks.
Official, nubbin. Yeah, that's what it is in the rule book. I said, be careful of exposed nubbins.
Words to live by, friends. Words to live by.
Brian, to choose 3 minutes.
So Brian, he's taking up the entire time. Is it 60 seconds per move, Chris? Do you know if that's the official?
It feels like it's a little bit more for this. I think Eugene might have said 2 minutes there.
Okay.
But I'll see if I can get an official ruling and put it up on the screen right now.
Yeah, it's us against you guys. Quit trying to. You're not in this trial. My apologies.
Yeah, you can really see Bryant going through all the options here.
Yeah,
because
even just the movements of his head, right?
Yeah, right.
Like,
he's looking ahead. He knows if he takes a particular piece, he's got to look down that line and see what else is going to be available.
Yeah, his eyes darting around. His brain is in overdrive, wanting to.
Yep.
And he does go for the pass.
He did go for the pass.
That's surprising to me.
Okay.
I guess he doesn't want to scoop up that H piece too quickly and again leave himself exposed.
Yeah.
If he did take the H piece, he would be only sitting at 4 buttons, and there's a lot of there's a few expensive ones coming up that they probably both want the flexibility for. We can see on the sort of from 1 to 230, let's say, there's a nice swath of pieces that have a lot of button income on them. And
that's really what it needs to be.
Yeah, Jeremy.
I feel like Jeremy's going to take that H. It's almost.
If you play really fast, it makes me look bad.
That's how I play typically.
Uh-oh.
Brian talking about Jeremy's pace of play compared to his. Love it. Again, super friendly competition, folks, but this is the these are the two best players in the world right now. So Jeremy is also going to pass, I believe.
Also passing.
So
Again,
Wow.
they're so mindful of that sort of turn that's going to come up. These integral pieces. We have that sort of staircase piece upcoming, and that big T-shaped piece that have 2 buttons and 3 buttons income on them, and the T-shape costing 5 buttons, the staircase costing 10 buttons. But having those into your tableau a little bit early can give you that push.
Yeah. It's so critical to get that income early if you can. And again, both players are mindful of each other. They don't want to give they don't want to give an inch here. They're fighting for each piece here and each bit of income.
And it's true. I think the calculation here is, when do you pull the trigger on the H? Because once the H is pulled, you need to be mindful of how many buttons your opponent has and what they're going to do with them. So both players seeing that, okay, I can take the H and it might be beneficial, but that T piece for 5 buttons, only 5 time, only 2 more time than the H, and giving 2 button income back, basically 1 income passes, you've made your money back. Right, compared to that big H piece.
That's right.
I think both players being really mindful that it's a 1-2 punch, and maybe wanting to make sure that they at least set themselves up for something great right afterwards.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we'll see if. Oh no, it's back over to Bryant. We'll see if Bryant pulls the trigger on this H. But I imagine at this point, with Jeremy's stack, Jeremy's sitting at 9 buttons. I don't know. Maybe he does. Maybe he doesn't pass. See, if he passes, Brian also then hits that 10 button aspect where he could get that staircase going. Right. And getting that 3 income. It's the most income on the board. There's only 2 other pieces that provide sort of a 3 button income, and they're all the way on the other side of the board near that sort of 8 and 9 area.
And those both are.
Oh, sorry. 4 pieces. There is one at that sort of 3 o'clock or 2 o'clock area after the big blue piece. Costs 7 buttons and 6 times.
Yeah.
Arguably better than that 10 one.
Right.
This is tough.
They're
really tough.
The ones with 3 buttons are all awkward pieces to slot in there. Is Bryant really going to pass again? I don't see him passing here. Just because Jeremy's got a ton of buttons.
I think if you pass here, like, you need to know what the combo is. And so there is the potential that both players are seeing, because that big blue piece costs 5 buttons and 3 time, and then 2 spaces away from that blue piece you have a nice little hook piece, that sort of 5er. It only costs 1 button and 2 time. So if you take that T piece, then you're setting your opponent up to be able to do that as a double combo, right? And so that's what I need to be. If I'm giving away the T piece and I'm taking the H, I need to also be mindful of taking that big blue one, or going for that cross section, which is 4 time, and then still having the opportunity to take something else large as well.
Right. I think the main thing here is you don't want to give your opponent too much income, right? Depending on the pieces they take, they're going to get a lot of income if they get that T and then move on from there. You want to keep pace with that.
Well,
because that would be a killer if they've got a ton of income. Oh, Brian.
And we see the pass
again.
That makes sense, though. Puts him in that 10 button point area. But also I don't think the 10 button piece is in play, again, because it exposes you a little bit too much.
Right.
What are you going to do? You're going to take a 10 button piece and then have to pass and give your opponent a selection? No. There's no chance.
No way. No way he's going to do that. So again, here it is. This game is a lot about timing, and Jeremy's just waiting to figure. He's thinking, when can I pull the trigger on this? When can I take that H piece, or do I do something else? But he wants to make sure he doesn't leave himself exposed and give Bryant too many opportunities to ratchet up his income. They're both at 2 income right now. Is that correct? I think.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Now maybe they're not going for the H piece. Let's reevaluate just in case.
Right.
There could be the piece. We see a
This is
pass
such
from
a
Jeremy.
thrill.
Another pass
I
from
don't know if
Jeremy.
I've ever played such
So
a
fun
game.
fact, Chris, if
Please
they
give
keep
me a
passing,
change,
Jeremy's
so
going to win the title. If they just keep passing.
Yeah, back and forth.
Yeah.
But might there be a scenario where you do take that small little corner?
Yeah.
I don't know if there is. It kind of gives 3-time wiggle room. It gives your opponent the ability to counter it by getting the other corner and spend less time. Like, that's why I just don't think that small corner is a real possibility, because you're essentially giving up your time. Although it doesn't seem like the players are worried about time; they keep on passing.
Right.
But you're essentially giving up your time for somebody to negate that space on their board and then be in the driver's seat, really.
Right. Yeah, it's really fascinating to see how they're both trying to control where they're going to go here, yet they keep passing. So it's like you're passing to give up control for just a second here and hoping you'll get it back. When it's almost like a game of chicken, right? When's your opponent going to actually take a piece, right?
It really is. And it also kind of shows that these two players, I think, are of the same Patchwork mindset. They're the same Patchwork philosophy, right? They both knew the value of that first player. They both understand the value of this turning point as well. And it again becomes this conversation of how much do you give? And actually, that's something to consider. You said that Jeremy would win if they kept passing. Well, no, because Bryant has that 11-point.
That's
that
right.
11-point bump.
Yeah.
Right now, Bryant would be in the lead.
I totally forgot about that. Bryant's okay just passing out like this, right? The pressure is on Jeremy.
Even if this was the end state of the board, Bryant would pull ahead, because even though Jeremy would lose 8 points less, Bryant would still be ahead by 3.
Exactly.
I mean, not that you would ever see that happen. Let's be clear.
Right.
But it's kind of fun just to think about.
Right. And that's what makes that opening bid so fascinating, right? It has totally changed the game here, I think, and I think that's a great thing to add at this level.
We're still on Bryant. Bryant taking full use of that 2-minute timer. I think I've heard Eugene reference it a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll start one myself. But I just love that both of these players are on the same page, and I think you can see that in their interactions, and when they look at each other and they recognize, all right, I'm not gonna be able to sneak one by you. You know, in the first round, you might have been playing against people who aren't of the same mindset, and you can capitalize on those little early mistakes.
Yeah.
At the final round of WSBG, when you're competing for the Patchwork ring, the title of Patchwork World Champion 2023, you're not going to get away with much.
That's right. As the kids would say, game recognizes game.
That's exactly what they would say. Bryant getting a notification from the judge there, putting the pressure on. Will we see another pass from Bryant? I've never been so engrossed by people passing in Patchwork.
Right.
Really, I've never have. I never thought that it would it would come out this way. But let me tell you, I'm hooked in.
Yeah. I mean, it's so intense. Like, when are they going to pull the trigger?
3:30.
I just looking at Bryant, you can tell he's just agonizing over what is he going to do here.
Bathroom breaks permitted. I'm sorry, I can't. Are bathroom breaks permitted? Yes. Okay.
Jeremy asking about a bathroom break.
Just later.
Bryant would be very happy to allow Jeremy a bathroom break. I can tell you that. It gives Bryant a little bit more time with the board and off the clock.
There he is.
He goes for the H. He pulls the trigger on the H. Where is it going to be slotted in? That's the question.
Back to 10 buttons.
He earns his income right back by passing that income marker. And also, this is something that we haven't been talking about, but it is something needed to consider.
So we got any discussion about skill versus luck.
They're playing on a board where the
No, it's equal parts.
where are the leather patches going to turn up, right? We can see it on the other rounding of the corner. I got a little bit thrown because I think I'm playing with an older version of Patchwork, and I'd set my leather patch up, and it does appear closer around the turn for my board that I was looking at, and I looked at the game board and realized, oh no, they don't have a patch up coming.
Hey,
but it's
so a little, that's definitely another thing you got to take into consideration. I mean, those little patches, those are lifesavers at times.
What also is incredible is where Bryant has put this piece.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know if that's the final placement, but if it is, he is banking on getting that one purple piece way across near the very beginning of the board after you've almost done a full lap.
Yep.
That is the piece that slots in there.
Amazing.
I think no. That can't be it. It must be something different.
No.
There's an extra nubbin in the one that I was looking at.
Right.
Where is that piece that he's looking
Unless
for?
he's banking on like getting that one, it's like a Z piece about 3 o'clock. Slots that in on its side. And again, these are the things the players were looking at during that bidding round, right? They could see exactly where all the pieces were.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe Bryant knew that he was going to get a shot at it.
Yeah, it's true. He can get that sort of corner piece there.
Or maybe he's banking on that patch, the 1x1 patch. If he sets himself for that 1x1 patch, he could stick it in the corner there or on the side.
Yeah, you do have some flexibility if you're able to manipulate the time track to your benefit.
Mm-hmm.
That just feels like that is such a big brain play, you know?
Right, yeah.
Normally you just build off of yourself, but knowing the sort of combinations of pieces that can slot in there, and then hoping that you get maybe that little 2-piece to put it in and finish that up, or banking on that if you don't get it, you can then pivot and put those little single patches in where you need to.
Right. So is that confirmed? Is that officially where Bryant has left his piece at H?
I think that's it. I think we're on to Jeremy's turn right now.
I think that's such a baller move right there. That's saying the opponent, I know exactly what's coming up. I don't have to add on to I'm going to leave this big old space in the middle here. That is a baller move right there, folks.
Honestly, just as an intimidation factor.
Yeah, totally.
Even if you don't have a plan. I'm sure Bryant does.
Transfer or spend 3.
So making some change.
And we see spending 3, Jeremy capitalizing and getting that small little corner piece. It's a great value piece. It's the better value corner piece.
7 back, right? Yes.
And it only makes him move 1 space as well,
And he's still got
which
a lot of
keeps him
buttons.
in control of the board.
Oh, there it is. Yes.
Taking that big one. Yeah. It only costs him 1. Jeremy spending not a lot of money to fill a lot of his board.
4, pass income. That'll be 1, 2, 3 income.
And in my version of the Patchwork board, well, that he would have gotten himself a nice little 1 patch as well.
Oh.
Not to be on this one, but still, like filling up a good chunk of the board. That's a big move and a really nice position for Jeremy. Jeremy's board presence and the amount that he's spent is really not a lot. Plus, he has 3 button income currently to Bryant's 2 buttons. Bryant may have 10 buttons, but Jeremy also has 10 buttons. Jeremy feels like he's in a real rock solid space right now. But again, Bryant clearly pulled the trigger for a reason.
10 button buddies. All right.
10 button buddies. I love it. Again, friendly yet fierce, folks.
Yeah.
Fitting your name there.
Now we see, is this where that sort of little piece is going to slot in? Was he planning for this 7 buttons and 6 time? I mean, probably, right? He probably knew that Jeremy would take 1, 2, and then this is how Bryant's going to start combating that button income.
Right. Yeah, 2 buttons, but I mean, he is going to use up a lot of time, but he's increases in income. And is it going to move past another income for him if he takes that?
It will, yeah.
All right, nice.
It'll move just past that extra that next income space,
Yeah.
and put him into a pretty good attacking position for that patch, that single patch.
Oh
as well.
yeah, that's right.
Because
yeah,
the
coming
single
up.
patch would be sort of 3 away from that, and if Jeremy is going to go for that single patch, then he also has to spend a lot of time doing so.
I love that we're talking about a quilty game using terms like attacking and
Yeah.
defense.
Yeah, we're over to Bryant. I think we know exactly what Bryant is going to pick. I think it's exactly the one that you suggested there, Well. The better value, the best value 3-button piece, I think that might be out there, or is that certainly within striking range of these two players. But I think we're just seeing Bryant again capitalize on taking the time to think through the next moves. Knowing that this time pressure exists. I mean, you can see the timestamps down below. It's not a short game of Patchwork, but the amount of decision spaces that could be made in this game, right? It's one of those games where you could play it all out in your head. If you had a brain like the Queen's Gambit, and you could shuffle these things around on top of the ceiling as you put stuffed a mitt full of drugs down your mouth, as is the plot of Queen's Gambit, as she just inhales them like Tic Tacs in order to give herself her chess superpower. Well, you could very well do a similar thing here.
Exactly. As we've seen, Bryant's a very deliberate player, and he's taking full use of the time. And did he say? Okay, no, he did not say. I gotta say, I like his hat. I'm a big fan of hats, and Bryant, you have a really cool hat, my friend.
There you go. You get the hat. You get the hat nod from Ruel.
Definitely.
Ruel knew that Jeremy. Hey, you've been 1 for 1 so far, Ruel. Actually, more than 1 for 1. You've been predicting pretty much everything. I think you're low key. You just don't want to. I know you don't want to admit your strategy to the world for when you go out into your underground Patchwork battles. But
to here.
And we see him skip it. We don't see that 7 piece, but he goes again for the cheap 1-button cost piece.
Still my turn.
And it's still his turn, putting it next to down in the sort of center. There's a lot of polyomino space that I would be scared of, but I think making it the ability for it to still be his turn.
Really?
Yeah, I'm gonna be here all night. I'll do my part.
You get 4 or 3 actions.
Yeah, otherwise you gotta slam them out.
So if he can get 5 patches in a row, we can sit here for 20 minutes.
Yeah,
That's
20
impressive.
minutes, especially with the way I play.
Wow.
I don't think it's necessarily fair for somebody to have to.
So it might be a 4-minute timer then.
No, they've had forever to work out the chain of actions, right?
To play him out is hard in the last few seconds.
I know picking up that piece is a lot of work.
I know it is. But hey, the Gaia Project Finals went until 2:30 a.m.
Oh, I know.
And I promise you, this will finish soon.
I'm sure it will.
Sure. Pause. Depends.
Okay.
Brian having himself a good time. I think
The timer to go that long, but, you know, try it out.
Jeremy wanting more of a time pressure, I think.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
about 30 more passes, so times 4 minutes. We could go 2
Yeah,
hours.
we could
2 hours.
Can't do much more than 2 hours, I guess. But
That was
And
a
Brian
big.
with that little comment, a little self-deprecating. Hey, he knows he takes long
Yeah.
playing games. So he's self-aware
something to
for
go
sure.
on here.
But look at that.
I'll pay 3.
There's that piece.
6.
Lined it up to get that piece, opting not for that sort of more expensive piece, but getting
Yeah.
a much better move. That's
Well done, Brian.
That's the
yes.
value of looking ahead, right? And showing and knowing that this piece was going to be slotted in there.
Yeah.
A really solid,
Wow.
for only 4 time, getting 9 spots covered on your quilt. That's pretty
That's
good.
huge. Yeah.
I still feel they're both sitting at the same income as well. I still feel like I like Jeremy's board a little bit better.
Right.
But the ability that Bryant had there to envision, know that he wanted to slot a little piece in there and then capitalize on that has been very impressive. And so we'll see how Jeremy needs to respond here. Jeremy's sitting at 10 buttons.
And once again, we just got to remember, Jeremy is playing from behind here because of that opening bid.
Yeah.
So that's a huge thing. Just as a reminder, at the end of the game, empty spots, folks, on your quilt, -2 points per. So, like any good Uwe Rosenberg game, you may be going down to negative points in this game. So, both players got to be aware of this, of course.
Yeah, we see Jeremy having the choice. And making that snap decision. 7 buttons it costs him, but it only costs him 2 time, and it gives him 2 button income. It's a great piece, and he slots it in, saying, "I know where my patch is going."
Yes.
Moving 2.
I'm going to make this patch work.
Look at that.
1, 2. No, not yet.
He's going to get
Hasn't
that
yet
one patch, one by
3
one.
buttons
Yep.
remaining?
I do.
But when he does, he'll be getting an income of 5 buttons, now ramping up.
Wow.
Now, all 3 pieces are also purchasable for Bryant right now, sitting at 6 buttons. The pieces cost 4, 4, and 5 in buttons, and then 6 time, 2 time, and 4
Should I
time.
put the 5-4 lighting there? I just have to. Right?
Yeah, might as well, right?
Gives you the patch. Unacceptable.
Unacceptable. It's just one patch.
You hear Brian saying, should I put that 5-4 in there? That beautiful cross piece that would work out really nicely for his board right now.
Yep.
But it gives Jeremy a patch, and both players are going to be fighting tooth and nail for these extra patches. These are free spaces on the board that are so malleable. We can see Jeremy already needs it. And it's pretty much guaranteed you'll get 1 patch in a game.
Right.
It would be pretty exceptional for an opponent to get all 5. I certainly have given away all 5 in my day, but but especially at this level, I would imagine we'll see something between 2 and 3. It would be very surprising to see a 4-1 breakdown, and there would have to be a large incentive for our players to agree to make that happen, basically agreeing with their moves, so to speak.
Yes, I do.
Oh, thank you. Don't restart the time. That would be agony.
Okay, we have a merger. This is
Again, just the way Jeremy's got his board set up, I think once he gets that 1 by 1 in there, he's got a really good shot at getting that 7 by 7 bonus, which I think is critical for his score, because again, he's starting from behind.
Yeah. We are seeing that Jeremy would love that pink piece that's ahead, but it will have no chance of getting it. That could slot right in next to the T.
Oh, yeah.
Perfectly. Yeah. But there is a consolation of that red piece upcoming, that sort of darker red piece.
Yeah, the
which
chunkier
is,
one. Yeah.
Yes, 6 spaces ahead, which Jeremy has a good shot of getting. It only costs 2 buttons and 2 time. It's a very good breakdown, or a very good cost benefit.
Right.
Rather. Yeah, the more that I look at Brian's board, the more that I see inexplicably that a lot of those sort of awkward pieces somehow seem like they would fit in just beautifully for him. It's that sort of counterintuitive nature of all the pieces feeling a bit janky.
Yeah.
Well, just make your board a bit janky, and then they'll slot right in.
Right. Brian's really agonizing over this one. He's got
will we see him?
Wow.
I could see him taking the pink piece, right?
Yes.
I think that the decision here is, do I take the pink piece? What is that going to do for Jeremy? Jeremy's sitting only at 3 buttons, though. Jeremy looking at probably getting that 4th piece in the row. I don't see Bryant taking the triple, the little cross section, because of what he said. He said, I don't want to give you that patch. And also it would put Jeremy within striking distance of that red. So unless Bryant really wants him to do that, I don't know, though, because if Bryant's sitting with, well, he wouldn't be sitting with a ton of income, because after that red piece, there's a long one that only costs you 1 time. It costs you 7 buttons, but it costs you 1 time. And then right after that, there's a free piece.
The freebie,
that
my favorite
costs you
piece.
3 times.
Yes.
And so both of those pieces being side by side is also really interesting to me because they're good for filling up a lot of time. We see a pass by
Another
Bryant,
pass for
giving
Bryant.
himself the income.
Yeah.
That makes sense, giving him an extra 5 buttons, needing that flexibility for what's to come.
Right.
And
Back to Jeremy.
I think we see we have to see a pass by Jeremy.
That,
He only has
Well,
3
that's a
buttons.
he has only 3 buttons.
So that's
2 plus his
for
income.
passing, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
He does get a nice chunk of income there. But yeah, Bryant seeing and knowing that would happen. Jeremy taking the snap pass, not wanting to give Bryant any more time to evaluate the board.
Sorry.
It's being on camera. It's nice, isn't it? You want to stick
You
it
feel
out
that?
and hang it
Feel
out.
that?
Passing the cards.
I want to
Yes.
play as slowly as possible so everybody watches me.
Right. Having it up for the cameras.
Oh, there we go. Right there. Look at the face cameras.
That's right. That's right. That's why I'm spilling my water.
Now they're having it up for the cameras. Love it.
Yeah, another benefit of taking that time is, the cameras focus on you, and we get to highlight. Honestly, I love that I haven't found watching this, because there is so much to think through.
Mhm.
I haven't found myself feeling dry for things to say. Right? There's so much to consider here. There's so much to hypothesize about, and we also get to highlight our 2 incredible competitors, Bryant and Jeremy.
That's
Who
right.
honestly, both, regardless of the outcome of this game, both of these players are absolute monsters at this game. They should be commended for making this final table. It is not an easy feat to make it to a final table in the World Series of Board Gaming. You have to make your way through a lot of rounds, and the fact that both managed to do so in Patchwork, which had a lot of rounds to begin with, is just such a testament to both of their abilities. Really,
Absolutely.
They should be commended. I know in this Patchwork tournament, there were a couple players, including last year's 2022's winner of Splendor, opted not to play in Splendor, but chose Patchwork instead. They both were playing on the same day, and him saying, I think I got a better shot at Patchwork. I don't think I've ever lost. And a lot of players entered into this Patchwork competition saying, you know what, I've never lost this game.
Okay.
But certainly most of them will have lost by now because they're not here at the final table. I do understand that change, though. I think with Splendor, especially in 4-player games, if you have a target on your back, it is difficult if the table is working to deny you. And I think that was a strategic decision by Gray, who is the 2022 champion of Splendor, to say, listen, I'm not going to win Splendor. I'm not going to win Splendor 2 times in a row because people will deny me.
Right. Right. Especially, there is
something else.
There is that first player advantage in Splendor, right? It's difficult to come back there. Whereas Patchwork, a little easier to control your fate in Patchwork.
Yeah, especially with these rules.
Yeah.
So we're still on to Bryant. Bryant now assuring himself the patch if he were to take that cross-section piece, which might make it a little bit more interesting, a little bit more incentivizing to slot that in perfectly, getting that additional 2-button income, and getting a patch. Pretty huge.
And that'll put some pressure on Jeremy. He's going to eventually have to get a patch, so things will change in the rounds or turns to come.
Well, thank you for telling me.
They're just there to pick up the slack.
I appreciate you being here. You play all yourself?
This very well.
Not this game.
We see Jeremy already knows his moves. Jeremy, I feel like
he's set. Yeah.
I also feel like there's while they both are similar in mindset, there's a distinct difference in play style between the two. I think Bryant is trying to think through everything, and I think Jeremy is going to really react to the opportunities that are presented. But also Jeremy knows the piece that Bryant's going for, and so knows his sort of optimal piece, which I believe will be that red piece, unless he's trying to manipulate things to his favor.
Okay, so there's Bryant. As you said, the cross piece and the patch.
Yeah, we see Now, this could be a pretty big coup for Jeremy, because Jeremy could take that red piece, move himself forward for 2 time. We could see then he would still be behind and could move forward 1 time, taking with a cost of 7.
Yeah.
And would be on top of Bryant, so still be behind, and then get another turn and take that cheap free piece for 3 time.
My favorite piece of the game.
Yeah, there's a potential 3-move play for Jeremy if he wants those pieces. He has the buttons to do it. It adds up, and he would even have 1 button to spare.
Yeah,
he could skip over that entirely and get the piece right after the freebie, which only costs 1 button.
And he gets
so Jeremy has
on top
a lot.
Of it. Oh, yeah. This is a really nice setup for Jeremy coming up here.
Yeah. So that's why Bryant really wanted to get that patch, because he's like, listen, I know you got a lot of stuff coming.
Yeah. Well, I will take as much as I can. That's right.
Or maybe Bryant inadvertently set Jeremy up for this triple combo. If Bryant had taken the piece earlier, given up the patch, Jeremy wouldn't have the buttons to make this triple play.
That's right.
And that's where this give and take is so rich and dense. We see Bryant
you see
counting
Bryant
out.
Yeah, I love it. He's
trying to count out his 7x7.
Yeah.
Being very mindful that could be the difference. It often is the difference in a game of Patchwork. Like it's very close.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of good games come down to the wire, and having a 7-point swing built into the game, usually that can be a pretty huge deciding factor.
It's huge. I've won more games getting that 7x7 than any other way.
Mm-hmm. But again, it provides this lovely balance, like we've been talking about throughout. That if you rush for the 7x7 and you create a beautiful, perfect 7x7 square, you don't have too much more room left to work with the piece left on the board, and you're going to be taking a bunch of negative points to offset that. So, like anything in this game, it's all about balance. We see Jeremy taking his time as well.
Right. Again, he's looking forward, not just 1 or 2 moves. He's looking a couple of moves away. I know he's looking right at what we were looking at too, the red piece, the 7 for 1 time, and then the freebie. Mm-hmm. Those 3 that's a huge combo right there. But he's looking at that and then looking beyond that, like what's he going to leave for Bryant? And that's what his main concern is at this point.
Yeah. And one thing that you see a lot of players sort of focus on, sometimes focus too much on, but there is that 1 single 2-slot piece, and that gives you a lot of flexibility, right? There's a reason why that's where you determine where the starting position goes of the round tracker or the token tracker, whatever you want to call it, the wooden pawn. But it's because that piece gives you that flexibility. It fills in that space that you weren't prepared for. Yeah. Although with these 2 players, it seems like both of them are prepared for it.
They're okay.
But if you want 3, it's split.
Yeah, Jeremy having that decision. I think Jeremy's decision now being, does he take the piece directly in front of him, or does he go for the red? But he does opt for that too.
Yep.
Slotting it in. We'll see it
right there on the side.
Yep.
He's got two good spots for it, I feel.
Yep.
He does slot it in there, but it very well could have gone onto the sort of right side of our perspective. It would have slotted nicely, but he knows that it's probably not going to get around to that other pink piece, and that's where he can kind of close that gap. And he's got more flexibility with the other pieces remaining. And now we'll see, does Jeremy spend $7 for only 1 time? It feels like great value.
Yeah, have some more time.
Bryant saying, hey, you know what? I'm not in any rush. I'm happy to sit here all day, baby. No time pressure on my part. That's great, because I know I find I am prone to analysis paralysis in games as well, and so I never mind it when my competitors are, because I'm like, you know what? I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. I can relate.
Totally. So Jeremy looking at the 7 for 1 time, followed by the freebie.
Yeah, it just depends on if he can slot that that long piece in a place that makes sense for him, right?
That's the thing. Where would we put it? You know, on the board. There's plenty of space, obviously, but where's the most optimal slot on the board?
Like right now, with terms of how Jeremy's set up, like the only place it feels would be on the sort of right side of the board,
Yes.
just straight along there. But by doing that, it's a five like chunky piece. You're resigning yourself to needing an L-shaped piece to sort of close it out. And the L-shaped pieces, I mean, the closest one we could see is that big sort of 10 cost 5 time at the just below 9 o'clock, right before the 2 piece.
Right.
Like that's the closest one, and otherwise he's got to wait a long time for it to come back around.
There it is.
But he does pull the trigger on the 7, and will he slot it in on the right? He is committing to that.
Okay.
There is some flexibility there. And now he gets to go it again, and we're going to see the 3-piece combo that he was set up for.
Well done, Jeremy. Get the freebie. Make sure he's paid. Okay, so he's got 1 button left, but he'll be taking the freebie there, and then I believe that'll give him income.
Or it could be that little sort of zigzag piece. It only costs 1
big
button.
Z.
And it's 2 time. I might opt for that. It's 2 time, only costs 1 button, and it fills in an extra piece as well. No, that it fills in the same amount of slots as the freebie. I'll tell you what. But it might slot in a little bit nicer, sort of into that T area, right?
Yeah.
Like it really slots in nicely. He does
go for the freebie.
Yeah, you know what?
We see Brian saying, "Oh, that's the way you're going for it." Freebie also providing that button income, which does make sense.
Broken, but sure. I mean,
It's already a little broken.
All right.
So-
There's a 4-3. Oops, sorry, I kicked you off the board. There you go. 1, 2, 3. Income is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
7 income for Jeremy. Jeremy pulling ahead in the income game. Brian only sitting at 5.
Very nice turn for Jeremy, though. Back to back pieces.
Really solid.
You will need to remind me every
And his board is really neatly filled up there. Does need a 1x1 patch, but he'll get that. I think Jeremy's in great shape at this point.
Yeah, we could see Bryant strike for that 1x1 patch, because he could get this zigzag and then snowball into that purple piece. We could see Bryant have a triple piece play as well, because that would cost him 3 buttons, and then he could go for either skipping that little 2 piece entirely or just taking the 2 piece as well.
Right.
But if he did skip it, he is within striking distance of that other patch, and so he might opt for a longer thing that provides more time. I think he has exactly the amount to do the zigzag, do the purple, and then do that long piece that would put him taking the next patch away from Jeremy and giving him 3 pieces in the process as well. We might see that in the cards for Bryant.
Yeah, that might. Wow, that would be great. That would put a lot of pressure on Jeremy.
It's called strategy. Next time.
Got the measurements on the cup holder, I guess.
Thank you. Jumbo cup. They said fits no cup holders. I bought it for that reason.
It's beautiful.
Bryant saying his one unique aspect of his water bottle is that it fits no cup holders, and he bought it specifically for that reason.
I love the banter between the two. Again, we're playing at the highest level for all the marbles here, and they seem relaxed and hanging out, just playing a game of Patchwork.
Yeah, a little bit longer game of Patchwork, but again, it doesn't feel that long right now. Maybe it'll start to drag, but I mean, we're about an hour into this game.
Oh wow!
I've been on the edge of my seat the entire time.
Yeah, I wasn't even looking at the clock. That's interesting. Wow. Okay. So, Brian, does he take that big Z piece? Again, that gives him more chances to get other pieces.
I think he has to. I think he has to, just because the next 2 pieces cost 6 time and 4 time respectively. And so because of that, if he doesn't want to give up that patch, he has to take the Z piece. It costs 1 button and it's 2 time. It's so powerful for the amount of space that it covers.
Right.
Like I think you heard the players saying, it's a bit broken, and I think it very well could be. And what could be an interesting placement though is if he takes that Z piece, he puts it in his bottom right corner, kind of poking out. It sets him up perfectly for that purple piece to just slot right in there on top.
That's right.
It's not
Oh, that would be
contributing
sweet.
to the
Yeah.
7x7 because we're sort of building out from the bottom left,
Yeah.
but it would just look so beautiful.
Thank you.
And so, yeah, I think we're gonna see a triple play. I think we're seeing a triple play from
Yeah.
Jeremy, and then an immediate triple play
I'm going to
response.
capture this piece.
Yep, there it is. There's the first part.
That's a beautiful chess turn.
I'm going to discard 2 buttons. 1 button for it. Thank you for your expression of surprise. I'd like to only pay 1. And I'd like to press it.
Oh,
I
wow.
do 2 for 1.
And we see him going up top
Yeah, another baller move by Bryant. I would not have
great
expected
spot.
that. Yeah.
because he knows that he's gonna get the patch to
Right.
put that into the corner, and he's gonna get this purple piece right now. He's telegraphing that purple piece. But of course, we're not going to see him take it instantly because
Right.
Bryant is going to take time to think through his move 5 turns from now.
That's
But we are going to see that is as telegraphed a move as anyone could ever play. Although I don't know, maybe it could go in the bottom right. We can see it's a perfect shape. It's a perfect shape for
is.
both those spots. We see this what feels again counterintuitive to like making beautiful squares, but you only have to make one beautiful square. It doesn't matter what the squares look like
Exactly.
as you go through. You want to make one beautiful square and have them all fit together, not a 7x7 square as we talked
Right.
about. You want to get that along the way, but you want to make one beautiful square. It is incredible the amount that has been passed as well.
Yeah. Again, this is something is when you're a new player to Patchwork, I don't think we realize how valuable those passes are early on. Getting income and just setting yourself up. But here they've used the pass action or turn to perfection here.
And I stopped mid-sentence because I started counting the amount of spaces left to see how much time they actually have left to play. There's 24 time remaining for Jeremy, 25 time for Bryant.
Wow.
And that doesn't feel like a lot.
No. I'm in full-on panic mode at this point. I want as much time as possible. But as these players have shown, they know exactly what pieces they want, and they know where they're going to slot them in. They just want to be. Bryant wants to be extra careful here.
If my calculations are correct too, I think I've counted sort of 28 and 29 times spent. So we're past the halfway point in this game.
Nice.
Yeah, I think what Bryant is really calculating is what happens after he does his triple move. Right? That's what he's looking at. He's looking at what does it set Jeremy up for? It sets Jeremy up for that beautiful T.
Yeah.
Like we can see them moving along. Jeremy will take the T and he'll slot his T in and then hope to get another patch. But I also think that Bryant knows if he's able to deny Jeremy all the patches in the game, and if he makes that his sole purpose, Jeremy can't get a 7x7. He just can't get it.
This time I'll pay 2 buttons. Going from
Okay.
And so that's also a consideration
from 10
to make sure Jeremy doesn't get any single patch.
Yeah.
If that
pretty
becomes
much
the case,
kills his
then
board. Yeah.
you're guaranteed that 7x7, and like we talked about, that's going to be huge. We see it slot so nicely into that upper left corner because if Bryant's ready to get himself another patch, well, he's not worried about it.
I think you said no on that one, didn't you?
Well, I'm asking if it's all right with you, not if it's all right with me.
I want to not give it to you just because, but I think for the viewing experience, it might be all right. Are you okay with that?
You don't mind?
You
It's
don't
all
care
As
at
long
all?
as the two of you agree.
Oh,
I'm great. Yeah. Oh, agreed. Sorry.
As long as
Yeah,
you
That's that'd be great. Do we want to do it together?
oh, I'm happy. Either of us, you can just go ahead and do it if you want. I'll just watch.
Sure.
Oh, okay.
I spent about a minute considering this piece.
Oh, because you couldn't see it.
Couldn't see that it was too far away.
Oh, I'm kind of regretting this decision then.
Well, who knows where the pawn was now? Maybe it is within reach.
No, it's not.
Oh, look at that. It's
Close one there, Jeremy.
oh, the game's almost over now that you do that.
Right?
Yeah, we see representative of how much the circle was before, and I think a good thing to refocus and reshift. Again, it makes it clear, like, the game isn't about not looking too far ahead. The game is about placing things on your quill, right? And I think both players recognize that it's not like it's not really a thing. And I think that speaks to the friendliness of WSBG. I think this move right here is emblematic of the spirit of the tournament. I really do. I think in a lot of other tournaments, you would expect your opponent just to be vindictive and say, you know what, that's going to help you mentally. No, I'm not going to do it. Yep. But I think it's recognizing that, like, yeah, it's fine. It doesn't really impact. It lets us see the state of the board a little bit better. Sure.
Agreed.
Right.
Yeah. I agree. And that's what's great about this tournament.
Mm-hmm.
So Bryant, by taking that piece, he's landed on top of Jeremy's piece, so he's got
Correct.
one more move here.
He's got one more move and 2 spaces, it seems, to get a patch.
Mm-hmm.
So if he takes that the small twofer, he's giving Jeremy his patch. And if it is in his game plan to deny Jeremy patches, I mean, he's passing it anyway. Maybe he can get it on the second go around, right?
Yeah.
I think it makes a lot more sense for him. He doesn't have
Then you have to pass.
10 buttons.
Which is great, because I usually pass anyway, so that's
Fair to fair.
But I'm not going to pass right now, seeing as I want you to
That
do
would be fine. Yeah, great.
Bounce up here.
Yep.
And he goes again for that three
Definitely doesn't want the
combo,
patch. Yeah.
making sure that he gets that second patch onto his board. He's going to put it into that corner. Maybe. I mean, we've seen Bryant prioritize other moves, but
Yeah.
it seems like that's the natural
Patch.
spot for it to go.
Very efficient.
Thank you.
And
Yeah,
Bryant has covered
You never get
almost
any patches.
50% of his board, exactly 50% of his board, actually,
Wow.
because
probably should tell
he's
you.
almost sticking out.
It's-
So almost
yeah,
a
it's
full
really
line.
Really tough.
Denying that patch, that 1x1 to Jeremy.
Hmm.
Wonder how Jeremy's feeling now.
Now Jeremy's presented with 3 smaller pieces. Both of their income's about the same. Jeremy's sitting at 8. Bryant sitting at 5 in terms of current reserve.
Mm-hmm.
This is the spot where Jeremy has the wiggle room, though, because Jeremy again can do those back-to-back moves.
Mm-hmm.
He just needs to decide which of the two cost pieces he wants. I don't think he takes that corner piece. It would cost him 3 time. It would only cost him a button, but it costs him 3 time, and it doesn't cover as much. I think we see him take either the first or the third piece. Both of them cost 2 time and 2 buttons.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think we see him maybe take the T piece, but then he needs to get 2. Well, he doesn't need to get it, but if he puts it in the place that I have a mental block about, then he would. But he wouldn't put it there. He put it in a place that slots in really nicely for the T piece. So
Right.
never mind. That's the thing, though, with this game. You can't have that mental block, right? You can't have that hyper focus on
Exactly.
those opening spots,
Yeah.
or the spots that remain to be filled.
Right. And as we get that point where both players over 50% or more cover to the
Yeah.
board, things are really tightening up. And this is where you struggle against time, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you're trying to slow things down, making sure that you can get the pieces you want.
I think if we're talking about pure surface area, Jeremy still has the edge on Bryant
Yeah.
right now. I think Jeremy, I just did a quick count, Jeremy has, I think, 4 pieces more covered than Bryant does at this
Okay.
current stage of the game. But the way Bryant's board has been shaping out, it's really nice.
Yeah.
Really nicely constructed. And Bryant only sitting one behind in terms of the income that they're getting. Both players feeling, there's no runaway leader here in terms of surface area or in terms of income right now.
Yeah, it's been a back and forth battle the entire time. No big lead, and that's to be expected. These are the two best players in the world, right?
Mm-hmm. They have earned their spot in the finals. This is a tough call. I think we might see, maybe we see that 2-2 if Jeremy doesn't think he's able to fill that little spot beside his long piece.
Right.
If he, again, for me to be completely tunnel vision about it. Well, just to look around the board, right? We see him take it right now because the options later on are slim, and if he wants to fight for that 7x7, he's got to do it now.
Yeah.
He has to make that play, and it's a really necessary piece for him to take and to slot in at that moment. And it also allows him to take another move because he's still one time behind Bryant.
Mm-hmm. So he slots that in there. That the top of that piece he just slotted in, that's the top of his 7x7 at this point, right? So the 7x7 will be there if he can just complete that. And again, crucial part, got to get that single patch. And very quick move there.
This is a big play. Oh, what a nice piece. I was looking at that piece, but he jumps ahead. It costs him less time. It fills up more space, and it slots in really nicely.
Look at that.
That is a great play for Jeremy. Eating up a ton of the board, almost locking in that 7x7. He needs to basically play one more piece and get a patch. As long as Bryant doesn't deny him those patches.
Right.
Also crosses the income, which gives him some stuff to work with. There are subtle tweaks between editions of Patchwork. Because looking at my board right now, as it goes, the income markers have been moved and adjusted, and it shows you the detail and the dedication that Uwe puts into these games, making them so tight and focused and balanced. And
I mean, we could put it up on the screen. It would probably take about the same amount of time to watch the extended edition. There you go.
Yeah, just a really clutch play by Jeremy. Really clutch.
Yeah, very nice. Now, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, Chris, the newer editions of Patchwork, did they take out the freebie, or did they put a cost on the freebie? Like, did they make it 1 instead of free?
I think it was free. I think it's still free.
It's still free, okay.
It's still free because Jeremy didn't pay anything when he took it.
You've got problems. This is... I actually didn't see you could put your 5-3 there. I thought you had to put it running horizontally, creating another hole. So that's an advanced move that people who haven't stayed up for hours in the middle of the night can see.
Yeah.
Advanced visibility.
You see Brian saying, "Uh-oh, I have problems."
Yeah. Brian just realized what Jeremy did with that big piece.
I thought you were going to, I thought you had to put it horizontal. I didn't think you could slot it in there.
Yeah.
And, neglecting that puts Jeremy in a really, really good position.
Yeah, his board is really shaped up nicely here. Now Bryant's got some work ahead of him. Got a lot of work ahead,
and he's got some interesting decisions to make too, because he's only sitting at 5 buttons.
Yeah,
and so the only piece that he can afford right now is that second piece, that sort of rocket ship pace. It costs 3 buttons, but it also costs 6 time. And when time is dwindling right now, Bryant needs all the time that he can get to jump ahead and get that sort of 7x7. He's super. You can see the eyes moving. He might want to take that 6 time just to jump ahead and take that next patch.
Yeah, I try to deny him here because I don't think he has many options. Right? What else can he do? He can pass, but I think passing at this time is not the right call.
No, if he does,
he's got to get.
If he passes, Jeremy guaranteed gets that patch, and Jeremy guaranteed completes the 7x7 before Bryant.
Yeah.
It's just locked in.
Yeah.
It's if Bryant passes right now, that's game over. Jeremy wins the game. I'm calling it right now.
Yeah.
Like Bryant cannot do the pass. I think we're going to see him take that in order to deny Jeremy that patch. Now it's more important than ever for him to pivot and take that patch from Jeremy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Bryant's got to get pieces on the board at this point.
Mm-hmm.
He's got to get to some quilt making here.
Mm-hmm. He knows that exact patch where Jeremy has it means he can never complete a 7x7 if he doesn't get patches.
That's right.
I think Jeremy was banking on it. He's like, listen, I'll get one eventually.
Yeah.
But now Bryant shifted into full defensive mode. And so I think he's going to be forced to take that 3-6 right there in the second position.
Good old spaceship.
Gets him 2 income. Costs a lot of time.
Yeah,
but he has no other option but to take it. Yeah. And he slots it in quite nicely in a place where, would you look at that? He needs a patch to fill.
And there's the patch.
Luckily, he's not worried about getting patches because he's getting one right now.
Boom.
Crosses an income threshold as well, which is huge, scooping up those extra 2. Now Bryant's moved into the lead. No, now he's tied. They're both tied at 8 income total. Yeah, bringing his total stack to 10.
It's not even something exciting. Like, I can understand it was like...
That's a super important play and a great placement. Really great placement by Bryant. He needs his 10 spots. No, he's 11 spots still to fill if he wants to get that 7x7.
Wow.
Just isn't meant to be. Well, I'll have to settle for something else.
Okay. Jeremy probably going for the, what is it?
3-4.
Spending 4.
Yeah, 4 by
and managing to get 4x2 cost him 2 time. A really good placement, putting it in that corner. That's a really nice spot for him, filling up a lot of space. In this late game, you'll see a lot of times you take those larger pieces. You realize, oh no, I've been focusing on income too much.
Yeah.
Or as a beginner player, that's the what happens to me all the time. I say, oh no, I need large.
There it is.
Large
back
pieces.
to back.
A really nice back-to-back play. Bryant having to give him the room to make up all this stuff because he is he knows that 7x7 swing is so huge. Jeremy stopping right before that income bump as well.
Jeremy down to 3 buttons.
Just ahead of Bryant. Bryant now having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces needed before that next patch. I mean, he could take another big one.
Yeah.
He could take that sort of 8 cost 6 time to deny Jeremy the patch again. But at some point, it feels like Jeremy's making these big plays and filling up a lot of his board, and Bryant's going to be left with a lot of open space.
Yeah. Again,
he does have that
11.
Yeah, he does have that 11 button wiggle room though, so he could have 5 to 6 more open spaces than Jeremy on his board, and come out okay.
Yeah, those last 2 turns, Jeremy ate up a lot of his board. He filled up a lot of spaces, so that was really nice play.
Really great back-to-back grabs for Jeremy, but also might put some pressure on him in the upcoming moments. Jeremy wants that little T piece. Right, we can see it in the bottom right of our perspective. That would slot in perfectly. That's what he needs.
Piece.
Doesn't help to the 7x7, but it certainly helps. That is the piece that Jeremy needs, and I think it's going to be up to Bryant to decide if he can spend time denying that. You can't deny everything.
Exactly.
Everything smalls up.
Yeah, Jeremy's last 2 moves, that puts a ton of pressure on Bryant because so much of the board is filled up already for Jeremy.
Yeah.
Bryant, he can continue denying, but that's at the expense of his own board, right? And he's running out of time as well. So
yeah, and so it depends on but he knows. I think he's feeling the pressure of that 7x7.
Yeah.
Jeremy doesn't have it yet. I mean, he could pass and force Jeremy to take a suboptimal move to try to complete the 7x7 and have that be have that be it. Have that be the last thing that Jeremy can really do, and then just play denial defensive and fill up his board. That's a potential that he could play with,
Right.
but it also is a really risky play. Yeah, we see the wheels turning. They haven't stopped for Bryant.
Yeah, I feel like Bryant's gonna continue denying at this point. I think he's gonna go all in on the denial strategy.
I think so too. I think we'll see Bryant be the one to get the 7x7
Yep.
because I think Jeremy will not be able to get it.
Right.
I talked about the patches being fairly balanced, and we see Bryant making that his number one priority so that they are not balanced because
Right.
it has the tone was set early on in the game.
That's not going to happen.
This is exciting.
You like it? It's a good time.
Having fun.
I am.
You having fun?
Yeah, absolutely. I love Patchwork.
Love that.
Don't get this at a home game.
Definitely not a home game.
Yeah, I agree with Bryant. This is exciting.
Yeah.
Are we having fun yet? I think we are.
You're C1. My third. You want to pick your color? You can. Or do you want to wait and see what they want? Yeah, set it up.
I'm on the edge of my seat here, Ruel.
This,
I don't know what's the play here. What piece? I think he's got to go then for that 8-6.
yeah, that's the one I've been looking at. But again, tunnel vision. Maybe he's got another plan, because time is of essence here.
Yeah.
Pass.
Oh, he's gonna pass.
He
was just
passes.
gonna say, does he pass at this point? Oh my gosh!
Wow.
Wow, what a risky! I feel like this is a risky move on Bryant's part.
He goes for the pass.
Wow.
He puts it in
But-
Jeremy's. I think that's it. I think he knows that there's one piece here,
Yep.
or there's two pieces here that Jeremy can take. Both of those pieces lock him out for the rest of the game.
Yep.
They just lock him out.
Wow! 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 Wow!
Right,
I was
and they
just thinking
cost a
that,
lot.
will he pass here? I feel like it's a big risk, but it's a big move. We'll see if it pays off.
And it's true too. In the more optimal piece for Jeremy to take, I think leaves him one space shy of the patch.
Well, I ran out of time. I had to.
Oh my gosh!
I think that was the plan.
Bryant's saying, "I'm running out of time. I had to pass." He gets harder and harder to work through all the different computations as the game. You think it would get easier. There are less variables to consider, but no.
Right.
So suddenly, all the pieces start to be really in play. And the shapes become really in play. It's like, okay, when can I get to that? But I also need that as well.
Yeah.
And then balancing your opponent's stack as well. But Jeremy only has 3 buttons. Jeremy only has 3 buttons
That's
right
all.
now, so you can only take that one piece.
Was it 3x4?
It's a 3x4, yeah.
Okay.
And that also isn't optimal for him because he can't use that to help his 7x7.
Yeah.
It's another one that he cannot use to help his
my
7x7. It would leave him with 2 patches needed to get it. And so even though he would get 1 patch, he'd still be in the same issue.
Wow.
And would be resigned to just passing as well because he wouldn't have the space. I think Jeremy's done such a good job at closing the space in his board, but now he doesn't have the flexibility of denial, right? He doesn't have the flexibility of stopping Bryant from going on a run,
Yeah.
which is so interesting to see. Because usually, if you fill your board the best, you're probably going to win.
Mm-hmm.
But in this, Jeremy's done such a good job at filling his board. Other than that one little patch, like if he didn't have that open space, it'd be a completely different consideration, right? We would see a completely different game here. Bryant would not be making the moves that he's making, but he's doing so to put Jeremy into that position of, do I take something that is suboptimal for me? I think we're going to see a pass from Jeremy just to get the stack.
I feel like it, yeah, because he's only got 3 buttons right now.
Mm-hmm.
He takes the pass. He's going to give himself options on the next turn with more income.
He's
And-
giving up the patch, but like he has to at this point, or
I
else he
feel
takes
like he
the
does.
whole board. Yeah.
And once again, on his mind, he gave up those points early on during the bidding round.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna have to make those up at some point.
Also, when we think about the cost evaluation of some of these pieces, most are beneficial, but you're also thinking to yourself, okay, if it costs me 8 buttons and it only covers 4 spaces, let's say, or I'm looking ahead to that sort of square that costs 6 buttons and it only costs 8 spaces. Essentially, you're only netting 2 points for 5 time, right? Because if you had kept those buttons, well, then you'd be 6 buttons up and you'd lose 8 points. Right, so you're only netting 2 in that situation, and so we can see some of those pieces being left on the board, and only really coming into play when you have no other options. Right.
Yeah, and again, we're at that point of the game where every bit of time is absolutely critical.
Yeah.
Jeremy, he's feeling it. He's passing. Yep.
He's passing as well. I think that was.
Pass.
That could have been a snap pass, but I think we're seeing Jeremy do the same thing Bryant is, taking that time, taking as the time that is needed.
Okay. So Jeremy's pass, back to Bryant.
Back to Bryant. Did Jeremy take his income there? I think
I was just going to ask. I don't think he did. See if he did pass.
Bryant mentioned that earlier in the game. He said, "Listen, I often forget to take my income, and that's what makes me lose the game."
Yeah.
What a game! This is so intense.
It is intense. I hope we didn't.
Easy move, right?
Yeah, which is my easy move.
I don't know.
3 easy moves.
I trusted you. Didn't I?
I'm not going to pass now. I'll tell you that. I think it will be an error. I think it would be an error.
Maybe he would already taken it, but it looks like he should have passed that income.
He's not going to pass.
Yes.
So if he runs out of time, what happens?
Will you tell me there's 3 minutes?
Yeah, I don't know.
Thank you.
Did we miss that? I'm not sure.
Jeremy focused too much on table talking and getting in Bryant's head, and not focusing on the board, I think.
Because he should have got an income there, if I'm reading the board correctly.
Jeremy also paying attention to other things happening around. He said, "Oh, I think my friend's out."
Oh.
So repeat ring winner, Levi, won the same game.
Yep, exactly. Well, I mean, that's what you would expect.
Well, David won Ticket to Ride.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, I guess that's a repeat.
Yeah,
So 2.
I think that counts.
Yeah, talking about the ring winners, Levi. Spoiler alert for Terraforming Mars. That's upcoming. But Levi is the only 2-time back-to-back ring winner from 2022 and 2023, winning the same game. Levi Moreno winning both Terraforming Mars tournaments, which is just an incredible feat.
Yeah.
And then David Meredith, the Ticket to Ride champion in 2022, didn't win Ticket to Ride this year, but won Raw instead.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And speaking of Levi Moreno, not only did he do back-to-back Terraforming Mars, he made the final table at Red Cathedral as well.
That's true.
Phenomenal player. Phenomenal.
That you
player.
commented on. Yeah.
Yes.
Wasn't able to bring it home. Didn't win that trip to Essen that people were playing for in the Red Cathedral finals.
Yeah.
Again, the outer tournament's still a lot to play for.
Yeah. I mean, to go back-to-back Terraforming Mars and then final table Red Cathedral, pretty remarkable feat.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it might have been his first time playing Red Cathedral as well.
Yeah, it was.
I might be telling tales out of school, but
pretty amazing.
3 minutes.
Brian taking time as usual.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking about all his moves.
I'll buy that.
Okay, 10-3.
10?
going for the 10-3. That makes
The best
sense.
That is the best piece. Almost as good as a 7-6.
Slotting him in there, covering a lot of space without a lot of time.
Advance 3.
Getting that button. Or I mean the
Getting that
patch.
patch. Getting his 4th patch, denying it. Slotting it in an interesting spot. Giving him that sort of
Oh, you forgot your button.
column of death.
I did.
There it
That
is.
would be
There we go.
Okay. Thank you. Okay,
Brian
I was
pointed
really
that
worried
out.
about that.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out how you had so many buttons.
Yeah,
That makes
what
some
a
sense.
And Bright was the one that
So he should
pointed
have
out.
That pointed it out. And again, sort of
That makes
pointing out
sense.
to that sort of friendliness. I mean, technically Jeremy had passed his turn. Bryant had said it earlier, and it said like, "Oh, that's how I forget, is because I forget my button income." Bryant didn't need to remind Jeremy of that fact. He absolutely did not. He could have seen it and just gone, "Okay," and but that sort of sportsmanship is sort of emblematic of what I am particularly proud of to see in all of these games, which is how you want to play. It's how you want to win.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Yeah,
you want to win a world champion. You want to win. You want to prove that you're the best. Yes. You want to walk out of there with a ring on your finger saying, "Yeah, I am the champion of this game, and I won it the right way."
Exactly.
I didn't win it because we played a 12-hour tournament and we were on day 4 of a very fun long event where we're staying up late and playing lots of games and having fun and we're tired. No, and we have to forget something. No, you want to play it because you competed and you're the best.
Exactly. Not because someone forgot one little thing there.
100%.
Yeah. Okay, so that puts the ball back in Jeremy's court.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got buttons to play with, but this is interesting. He's still trying to get that patch.
Yeah. And Brian has been so good.
Yeah.
Has been so good at that patch denial that it would be tough. I mean, there's a lot of space left to play, but that patch coming just 3 spaces before.
Yeah. I almost feel like Jeremy's just going to look to just fill up as much of the board now as possible. He's just going to have to give up on getting that patch. Because Brian's done a wonderful job of denying.
Yeah. He has done that denial really well.
Jeremy's shaking his head like he knows. He's like, oh, yeah.
Jeremy's setting his sights, I think, now on how can he get that little T piece.
Yep.
That would be the next stage of Brian's denial game. Bryant really masterfully playing both boards.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Jeremy too. They both have seen this back and forth, right? But Bryant just getting the edge in a couple of instances.
Right.
And the thing here for Jeremy is that Bryant needs sort of 6 spaces filled, 6 more spaces to take that 7x7.
Uh-huh.
And so Jeremy's also maybe is aware of that. Maybe none of them get it.
Which would of course be ideal for Jeremy. If Brian gets it, it's pretty much a done deal. So if Jeremy can deny that and fill up enough of his board, it's gonna be really close, no matter what happens here.
It will be, I think it will be really close because I don't see Bryant filling a lot more of his board.
I don't either. Yeah, just with the pieces that are left.
Like Bryant's play is to get the 7x7 and then call it a game and hope that the negative points don't outweigh the positives. Jeremy's still making that decision.
Yeah. Okay.
Decided to go for that point, locking himself out of the 7x7. Well, maybe, still giving himself a little wiggle room. But needing a double patch.
Yes.
Yeah.
Needing a double patch to get that 7x7. He's admitted, you know what, I'm never getting that 7x7 with this move.
So he went for the piece that
gives him the most space.
Gives him the most space and also gave him another additional piece of income there, which is always a good thing. But wow.
A cheap cost, three buttons, and only 4 time. Yeah, I think that was Jeremy's only play. I mean, he couldn't take anything larger. He couldn't pass again and give up all that time. I think Jeremy's play is that he needs to fill as much of his board as he can, like you said. Unfortunately, that 7x7 dream was denied effectively by Bryant. Bryant probably breathing a sigh of relief with that move, knowing, okay, I don't need to play denial on this last patch.
Exactly.
I can do what I need to do. I can take that point of focus away from my brain and just focus on maximizing my own board.
Right.
Will he go for this big piece right here? I think that's what Jeremy's kind of setting him up for.
Right.
Will he get that big piece, giving Jeremy sort of the little 3 corner piece, or the T piece, and then Jeremy also setting himself up down the line? It's a really, really nice piece placement by Jeremy, because he's giving himself multiple options. He can put in a little corner, or he can put in that sort of zigzaggy 4 piece, or he can put in that 4 size L shape down the line as well.
Right.
So a lot of really nice options for Jeremy to fill it in. We can see Jeremy's board having, 4 empty spaces at the end of the game, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe
Which
just
is
4
huge.
empty spaces. And Bryant is currently sitting at 10, 14, 20, 23 empty spaces.
Yeah, that's negative 46 points right there. So obviously it's not going to end there, but he's got a ways to go. And
So the amount... time is of the essence. That's it, right? And so the amount of time that Bryant has spent playing denial to Jeremy, even if he gets that 7x7, if he's left with a bunch of open negative spaces, Jeremy might be able to clinch it up.
Yeah. Okay. So Bryant's going to go for the little piece.
He goes for the little. Where's he going to place it? Right in there. He knows what Jeremy wants and is setting himself up for that T piece.
Look at that. The fastest Bryant's played ever. Look at that.
He takes it. He takes it away. He's playing that denial game
He's still
again.
doing it. Wow.
Take income.
Wow.
10 income now.
That is just...
He knew exactly what he was doing.
ruthless-
That's the fastest I've seen Bryant
play.
play the entire game. Wow.
Yeah.
Take 7x7.
And
he
with
got the
that, takes the
7x7.
7x7. Not
Well
only does he
played,
deny Bryant the T piece that he desperately wants, but he's taken the 7x7 as well.
Wow.
That is just a ruthless, solid play from Bryant, opting to fill it in, using pieces again, playing a denial game. We'll probably see Jeremy scoop up this little piece and put it into where that T piece would have been, because he knows that space is gone now.
That's it. Yep.
We can see the game ramping up. These players have played it all out in their heads.
Wow. That was such a huge move by Bryant. That was... Is it going to be enough? That's what it comes down to.
You have 20 buttons.
Bryant saying, how many buttons do you have? Calculating. Now coming to the calculation of the scores.
Right.
Does he just pass it out?
Yeah, that's another consideration, right? Can he get away with that? Again, at the end of the game, blank spots are worth -2, and then your final buttons, 1 point each, and you do have a final income when you pass out of the game, folks.
Mm-hmm. So even though that piece would slot in nicely for Jeremy, it costs the little sort of zigzag piece. It still would cost Jeremy 7 buttons.
Yep.
It's good enough to win. I'll pass. For 3 buttons.
Bryant takes pass.
He takes the 5th patch.
Patch.
And
Wow.
I think he said that's good enough to win. So I think Bryant might have done that calculation.
Wow.
Knowing that Jeremy, the only thing that he can do is spend 7.
He's just going to pass.
Jeremy making that pass as well, passing it back.
Yep. Or not income, but pass.
Pass.
Bryant having made that calculation, pass, putting the final turn to Jeremy. Jeremy has 2 spaces left to go. Bryant's like, listen, you can buy that 7 piece. It'll cost you 7 buttons. You'll cover 8 spaces.
7.
Covers 4 spaces, and he does get that additional income.
He does get that income. He's maybe not doing that because of what it sets him up
This is
for.
worth 6. I gain 3 if you play it. Well, this is worth 2. So I gain 4 if you play it.
Yeah. And if I pass,
If you
it's
pass, I play. If you 3, I gain 3. So you should pass.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because then that gives. Right.
Yeah, it sets up Bryant for additional
2 for
moves
Yep.
and more efficient pieces, right?
Right. Wow.
That he has space for.
We can consolidate some of that if you want.
Let's see if this is enough. If Bryant did this calculation
This is
correctly.
only worth 5.
That's still
So if you play and I play, I gain 3.
Like I had the tiles.
Yeah, talking about gaining points over the other player,
I
right?
made room for the 5/5 though.
It would have been nice, yeah.
Pretty sorry. I'll play the 7/6. Pay 7.
Doesn't matter where it goes. Bryant not putting that other patch in the corner, Not to really rub salt. That would really rub salt in the wound, I think.
By 5.
Yeah, that should be enough for the win.
We're seeing the final.
Wow.
13. You want your 11? Just to make it easy.
Oh,
So we'll go
I was like, this doesn't look very good. I forgot about
Ha
my
ha.
That's gonna help.
Yeah. I'm fine with leaving it out, dude.
Well, let's put it to a vote. We'll put it in.
Sure.
Right.
Right. Final tally.
Final tally here.
Okay.
Let's listen in.
9 empty.
It's because you went first, right?
No, I went
Yeah,
first, he voted
Because
first.
you got. Because you got.
It doesn't
Sure.
matter.
Yeah.
Looks
Okay,
like you
so
have
let's do
9
that.
empty holes.
9, 18 total. So we can take 18 off.
Right.
Taking 18 away,
That.
Your
Final
leaving with a
score.
score of
Right. 16.
16.
I have 12 empty holes.
12 empty.
Okay.
24.
Right.
My final score is 21 and 16.
21.
Wow.
Thank you so much.
Good game.
21 to
21.
16.
So tense there. I knew that spot here with the 10 I couldn't
I
figure out.
thought you had it. But the 10-3 worked so perfectly.
Yeah, well, I didn't. Well, this piece did
And
not
this,
fit.
yeah. So maybe if you had put, neither of these could help.
Could have. No.
Could fill this spot.
No.
Yeah.
So you couldn't.
No, that's what
It
I
was
was
so
talking about the
close.
7 by 7
absolutely.
Could you,
and the 7 by 7
Sure.
denial.
So
Like
close.
Jeremy needing that spot, but saying like,
Wow.
yeah, none of those
I don't know
pieces.
if I've ever held patches away from someone that effective.
Yeah, no, that was really good. I kept putting myself in position to get it, and you kept putting the threes out. Yeah, it was
It's
good.
amazing.
You even took that 3-6 there, which was not comfortable, to give me those two,
Yeah.
and that was
And passing may have been a good idea there instead. I really don't know. It was hard in 4 minutes to tell which one was better.
for sure. And I probably would have
Wow.
taken one of the ones to take. I probably would have taken the 3-6 to go
Yes,
here
and
and
then
fill
you-
that in,
and
and I
then
would
you
have
get
had the
the
7-7.
7-7.
But you would have had the other two pieces, so
Yeah,
you know.
I think you. Yeah,
I think I
don't know
still.
what happened.
I think I still come out, but
I'll
I
go
don't
back
know.
to the video.
Well, because I get the 2 income there too, and I only get 1 off this, but I don't know if that makes a big
Yeah.
difference. Or
I'm gonna go back and
Yeah,
see if I
figure
can
it out.
find it.
Figure out what the winning move would be.
We know that
Sure.
Bryant and Jeremy both
Cool.
going back to review the
Thank you so
tapes.
much for the game.
Yes.
absolutely.
Oh, what a game.
And
The last
That's
game of
how it-
Patchwork played at WSBG. Well, actually, no.
we hear Jeremy saying the last game of Patchwork played at WSBG. Well, it is out for 2024. Who knows if it would make a triumphant return? We could probably see it in some outer ring tournaments as well.
Yes.
But you may have to face off against these two sharks, so we'll see. What a good game, Ruel.
Amazing,
Wow.
amazing game. I mean, talk about seeing the gameplay at the elite level, and even
Mhm.
just listening to them at the very end there. It's like, I mean, they had
Yeah.
this mapped out. They were just, oh, it's so cool to see it at that other level. Again, seeing all the
Mhm.
different passes that they did, and just,
Yeah.
we were commentating. I felt like that 7x7 was going back and forth for a while, right?
Yeah,
And
it
for
really
Bryant
was.
to pick it up at the end, oh, it was absolutely thrilling.
And that made the difference. And you could see
Yeah.
Bryant won by 5, but also he got that boost of 11, the
Yeah.
11 bid coming from first player at the beginning, proving to be so pivotal. And again, that 7x7 proving to be so pivotal as well. Those two swings. Bryant got 21 points, but 18 of them were from the bid and the 7x7.
That's right. Yeah.
And without
So-
that, Bryant's at 3.
Yeah,
So
and yeah, Jeremy actually filled up more of his board, and he
Mhm.
filled up a lot of his board, really.
lot.
But again, the pre-round, pre-game bid, and then just that 7x7 really sealed his fate. But I mean,
yeah.
both players played outstandingly. It was just amazing to see both of them really bringing their A game here, and it could have gone either way, honestly. There was points where I thought Jeremy had it locked up, then Bryant, and back and forth, and we saw the writing on the wall at the very end, but still it took a while to get to that point.
Yeah, those back-to-back triple plays
Yes,
with both of them going and getting those 3 pieces, that
pretty
was
awesome.
oof. And then Jeremy slotting in that 5-3 with the blue,
Yeah.
the
Oh.
blue slotting in there. I thought that might be the turning point, but
Same.
ultimately it is Bryant Brownell who is crowned our Patchwork World Series champion. Congratulations, Bryant. Congratulations, Jeremy, for an awesome, hard-fought game. That was probably the most exciting game of Patchwork that I will ever watch
Same.
in my life, Ruel. That was
Absolutely.
that was thrilling, stunning to watch, and Yeah, yeah, I had a great time.
Same here. I To see the game again played at this level and
Hmm.
to really, I mean, I learned some things today. I mean, just the way that that baller move early on where
Oh,
Brian just
with the
slotted that
H.
piece, I'm like, you're
Yeah,
leaving all these rows open. What is going on? But he knew, looking down
yeah.
the line, exactly what pieces are going to go there. That was amazing.
Yeah, yeah, really, really great future vision, both in terms of
Yes.
denial
Hmm.
and in terms of setting himself up and knowing the course of the game and what was going to happen. That was,
I
yeah, that was truly spectacular to watch. And hey,
it
if you
was.
want to get on the action, if you're intimidated by Patchwork like me, well, I mean, I had no say in having it leave the competition, but I'm just so horrible at Patchwork. It's one game that I'm always negative in the negative scores. I would get throttled by these people, but I like the slow play. I can kind of think through things a little bit more and
Yeah.
see. And actually, Bryant was saying, we talked to him a little bit afterwards, and he was saying, you know what, Patchwork was one of those things where I broke down before playing. I broke down every piece by its sort of mathematical cost benefit ratio. And so
Wow.
he had like a ranking of those pieces in his head, and knowing that ranking was super helpful for him to be like, okay, I'm going to prioritize this piece and take out that sort of mental load of should I put that piece in, already doing that sort of prep work. But you don't have to worry about doing that prep work because Patchwork isn't in 2024. Patchwork, Gaia Project, and Seven Wonders are out. They've been replaced by Heat, Earth, and Lost Ruins of Arnak, which I'm very excited to see how people compete in. More sort of
Yes.
newer games that the strategy and the meta hasn't yet been defined for, and maybe you know the strategy more than anybody else. If you're interested, get your tickets at WSBGVegas.com. Get them. Get your tickets now. Stay and play packages, the hotel prices. It's a great price. It's a cheap hotel for 4 nights on the strip. It's included in your package, and those are limited. So make sure that you do get those before that hotel block runs out, and you have to pay a little bit more for the hotel. And the block may run out. There are events happening in Vegas that week, so lock it in now, and we'll see you there. That was fun. Ruel, anything else to say before we sign off?
No, I just want to say again, thank you, Chris, for having me on. This has been a true pleasure. It was a lot of
Mhm.
fun seeing the game played the way it should be played at
Oh
the
yeah,
highest levels. And even though it's not going to be there at the 2024 WSBG, it will be in the library there, folks. And there's an open
oh yeah.
library. You can play it. And if you see me, if we have time, maybe you could play a game with me. I would love that. So
Test your
2024
skills
WSBG, folks.
against the shark, our very own Patchwork Shark, Ruel Gaviola, and for all other things, Ruel Gaviola. Well, you can check him out on all of your socials. You've got your own YouTube and Twitch channels. You want to shout those out right now, Ruel?
Absolutely. Thanks, Chris. Yeah, you can find me at Ruel Gaviola, RuelGaviola, all over the social medias. And also, you can find me hosting a little show called the R&R Show with this man right here, Chris George, and also our co-host, Ray Billings, and, of course, Richard Rodoham. We do that bi-weekly on the Rodo Run Through channel. And, hey, by the way, check out Play to Z Games, folks. Love it if you could do that. All right.
Mm-hmm. 100%. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We'll be back with more coverage of World Series of Board Gaming 2023 as we go through all the final games and crown all of our ring winners. Stay tuned to Dice Tower Network and WSBG's YouTube channel as well for everything going on. Take care, everybody. Thanks for being here. We'll see you later.